podcast. You dig what I'm saying? Vulnerability, accountability, leadership, intentionality, and demand. All aspects of life, and we just here to talk about it.
And that's valid.
That's valid. Today, I always say we got special guests, so I ain't gonna really call y'all special guests, but I'm gonna call y'all true supporters. That's what I'm gonna call y'all, true supporting guests, because these are my friends from college, and y'all have always supported my vision, especially in college. No matter how much shit Ariel and I talk, they always hold it down for a real nigga. You know what I mean? And you know, we were just together, Howard Homecoming, and y'all linked up with Shelby for the first time, and it was like y'all niggas knew each other for the longest, you know, and I always respect it. So I'm gonna call y'all true supporting guests because y'all always hold it down. And we got Cintiq and up in the left corner over there, and Ariel is up in the down in the right corner. You feel me? Today, you know what? I ain't even gonna get into the topic yet. I'm gonna start off with a validity check. So let's say, right, Shorty is talking to a homeboy, right, and they not together.
I'm sorry.
Wait, start over. Shorty's talking to homeboy, they're not together.
Shorty's talking to a homeboy, but they not together.
Sound
right?
like my life.
Listen.
And they not together, right? But let's say, you know, they're kicking it, you know, they're cooling. It's not nothing too crazy. They only been kicking it for a short period of time. And the nigga buys her a gift that was some money. You feel me? Like a couple $100. You know, being in that situation as a female, you know, are you taking that gift or are you holding off on that gift? And do you feel as though that gift comes with expectations?
Is that an actual question? Am I taking the gift?
Right. I was going to say the same thing. Of course I am.
Why wouldn't I take the gift?
But Aubrey, haven't you taken gifts, Aubrey?
I feel like Aubrey has been in both ends, though.
Exactly. I've been on both situations, you feel me? Like, bro, I honestly, I have taken a gift, right? But I already knew what it was. Now I feel like I'm in a different spot in life right now. You feel me? Where I might not take the gift because I just feel like, okay, you bought me this gift. I don't want you to be like in the long run if I was to say, nah, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want you to be like, but I bought you such and such. Like, nah, bro. Realistically, I could have bought that myself. You feel me? So that's why right now I'll be like, nah, bro, I'm not taking a gift. Like, nigga, if you want to tell me where I could get it from, I'll go buy it. You dig what I'm saying? But right now, I'm not taking it. That's just me though. Shelby, I see you thinking, bro.
Nah, I'm not thinking. I'm thinking. Yeah, I am thinking. Actually, I'm thinking, what the fuck is this bitch talking about? Because why wouldn't you take a gift? It's a gift. Like, if somebody wants to get you something, they chose to spend their money. Nobody asked them to buy it for you. Like, they chose to get it. So if you want to gift me with something that's $200, however much money it is, that was your choice. And yes, I'm going to accept it. Thank you.
I agree with Shelby. Well, okay, so
Do you though?
It's like I don't know. I was like Aubrey before, the way she is now, but like we're all grown now. Like you can't expect like chocolate and, you know.
Yes, the hell you can. You can expect edible arrangements.
But
yeah, but $200-$300 gift, and we not smashing. We not really doing nothing. We only been in this for a few months. It's like, bro, what kind of expectation? I hope you don't expect anything out of this because I ain't asked for you to do this. You know what I'm saying?
The type of person they are though. Like, what if they're just a generous person and they just, like,
that's very generous, but
and if they got the money.
Alright.
Why not?
Alright. I just hope in the long run. I feel like I've encountered this before with people where they ask for some shit back.
I feel like you can't ask for something back after you gave it to somebody. And even if you did ask for it back, I'm not giving it to you. It's mine now. You gave it to me. Like, how old are we?
Especially if the person didn't ask for it, like, you can't expect back. Like,
I had somebody ask for a gift back, and I had been asking for this gift for about 2 years, and then they got it from me when we weren't together, and they asked for it back, and I was just like,
yeah, but
you can come get them, but I won't come outside.
they're hurt clearly.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think it's inappropriate. I think it depends on like what you and the person established prior.
True, but sometimes I be feeling like people give gifts as like like a attachment, kind of like to chain
Yeah.
themselves to you. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like I said, but oh, I gave you this. Oh, I gave you this. Oh, I gave you that. Like, nigga, okay, I could have bought this myself. That's how I always feel.
But whose
about
fault
it, like,
is that? Whose fault is it that their intentions were not pure?
Mm,
Like, is that your fault?
we getting
Chose
spicy
the
here.
wrong one, my friend.
We're getting spicy here, Shelby. You're right. It's not our fault. It's not our fault. For sure, it's not. All right. I like that. I like that. Everybody was against me. No, I'm just playing.
The usual.
The usual. For real.
Sweet.
All right. Well, today's topic is religion versus spirituality. Now, you guys always know that Bella TV is here to talk about situations that people don't always want to talk about. And me personally, I always feel like religion is always a touchy subject when people talk about it, because people who don't understand it, they're not open to taking in that knowledge. You know what I mean? And so I want to be able to give us this next 30, 45 minutes or whatever to be able to have that conversation so people can start to get to the point where they can better understand people who have their faith with them and walk with it with them, and how it can shape a person in general. You know what I mean? So, but my first question to you, just to get down to the basics, would be, what is the difference between religion and spirituality?
Dun, dun, dun. For me, I feel that religion is kind of man-made. So religion is what a man deemed your relationship with God to be, or whatever it is you believe in. And spirituality is just simply based on relationship. That's between you and whoever it is you believe in. I think that's the main difference. So nobody's dictating how to believe and what way to believe. It's just you and whoever it is you're believing in.
Yes, sir. Respect it. What about you, Santique?
Well, I agree with Ariela's because we kind of come from like the same background, like literally. That's pretty much part of our friendship too. So yeah, I feel like religion is more so man-made, and it's just like you're following these rituals that I don't want to say they get old. They do. So you get tired of it, versus like spirituality, it's just like a connection, a relationship, and it's something you feel rather than like you see. So
I
like
agree with
that.
both of y'all. I feel like religion is like a set of, I don't want to say rules, but it's like a guide on how you're supposed to kind of live your life and what that relationship with God should be like. And I feel like spirituality is, like you guys said, it's like your own personal relationship with God, and however you interpret that to be.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. Now, I mean, I know this, but I think it's important for me to always ask, like, was religion instilled in you when you were younger, like growing up? And if so, like, as you became an adult, did your views change on the religion that you guys always practice? And like, this is a lot of, I guess, in once, but like, how did your family kind of perceive your different, your like new way of thinking, in a sense?
Ooh.
Do y'all want to start, or?
I could start. I mean, I could start too. I feel like for me, like, religion wasn't always wasn't something that was like concrete in my upbringing. You know what I mean? And I don't really know why. I know that at times, like, that was a part, and at some point in time, that was a part of my life. But I was really, really young, and I don't know what happened to change that. But I do think that that's what ultimately makes me not have the relationship that I would like to have. And I think my views have changed after meeting y'all and understanding what you guys believe in and how it's shaped you as people and as women, as everything. You know what I mean? Like, understanding you guys' religions and how, and you guys' walk of faith, like, that helped me better understand religion in general, because when I was young, I just never had that. And so that's like my spill on it. And so I would always love to learn more, and I'm always open to having those conversations. Always loving to listening to the music, listening to you guys' beliefs. But as far as my family, like that's not something that like was instilled in what we had going on, and I would love to know why, but I just don't know why. You know?
For sure.
Nah, it wasn't instilled in me. I mean, it was and it wasn't. It was like, you have those times where you like go to church and you'll go for a while and then like you won't go. And then like your mom's like, get up, we're going to church. But I feel like when I was a kid, it was something that like I felt like I was forced to do. And I didn't really connect with the church that my mom was going to. So it's like it was something that I was being forced to do. It's like I didn't want to be there, so I wasn't receiving the message, and I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on. But as I got older and I started just having my own beliefs on how things should be, and just kind of like questioning things like, why is this like this, why is this like that, like I kind of formed my own opinion, and I was able to just like decide for myself rather than being told this is what you have to do.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like for me, church has been my life, like up until now. Like I feel like I don't know what it is to live outside of church until now, because obviously, we grow up and we have you realize a lot more. So for me, my parents were pastors my whole life, like as long as I can remember. So obviously I had a lot of restrictions, but I also had a lot of questions growing up. And I feel like that was also like, I don't want to say a bad thing, but it's just something that always like bothered me, that I had a lot of questions as to why like we did things the way we did when it didn't make sense to me. Now, like, and that's where that religion and spirituality thing comes in. Religion was like, I felt like externally we had to please other people with our appearances, versus spirituality, like people didn't see that relationship that you had with God. So for me, spiritually, I have always had that relationship with God, but religiously, that has been something that I've questioned. So like I grew up Pentecostal, so we were not able to wear makeup, well, to a certain extent. We weren't able to wear makeup, jewelry, like earrings. We weren't able to dye our hair, cut our hair. We had to wear skirts. Like women had to wear skirts and men had to wear like pants. But as I was growing up, it was like I started to question all of that. I'm like, why is it that I can't wear a skirt to be like saved? Like, how is that going to stop me from going to heaven? Like, it was stuff like that that I would question. And as I grew older, I feel like I opened my eyes to more of like freedom, I guess you can say, when it comes to religion, because now I have more of a relationship with God, and I don't feel as, okay, how do I say? So in a religion, like I don't feel free. Like I feel like I'm just following man-made rules. Like I'm doing this because you're telling me to do it. Versus like now it's like, no, like I have this relationship with God and I am the way I am and I feel fine. Like I can feel the relationship that I have with God, and I've seen how it has worked for me now. Like it hasn't worked for bad or anything. So
can I do that like it, how do I put it? Like, is it as if like, because when I hear that, it makes me feel like, me personally, like just because you do have your ears pierced, like that doesn't affect your relationship with God. You know what I mean? Just because you do wear pants, like that shouldn't affect your relationship with God. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so is that like something where you were just kind of like, all right, but like how I look on the outside does not affect my relationship with God in my heart. You know what I mean? Is that kind of how
yeah.
it was?
And like so like my family had a mix of like Pentecostals and like non-denominational. So I would see how God would still move with those people, and they would wear like what they're. And then that's kind of like how my curiosity came about, because I'm like, how is it that we have to follow all these rules? I can't do this, I can't do that, but yet they're following the same God and they're feeling the same thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
it could probably be used even more. Like, and
So how did that like affect you and your relationship with your, I don't want to get too deep and you don't have to answer this if this is too personal, but I'm just like curious listening to you speak, like, because that seems like it was very strict. So once you kind of broke away from that, how did that kind of affect like you personally and just like your relationships?
so personally, I would worry too much about like what other people had to say about me. And I feel like at one point I had to just tell myself, like, listen, like, you love God. You love God. There's no doubt about that. And like, I just knew that I had a responsibility to give to God and not the people. So like, I don't know. I just feel like when I started to realize things and like speaking to the right people, not just like listening to preachers and everything here and there, like they were able to tell me like, no, you're fine. Like, you're just because you wear pants this day doesn't mean you're not going to be saved. Like, so I feel like it took a lot for me to finally be comfortable with like where I am now, because even when I was in college, like I would still wear my pants whatever, and then when I would come home my parents would be like, all right, like, you know, you still have this image here as a pastor's kid. They're gonna like they're gonna start questioning us and blah blah blah. And I guess that's what used to bother me too, because it's like, I'm here now, I believe in God, like I'm doing everything that you guys are telling me to do, but just because I'm not wearing a skirt, like I don't like, it's difficult to explain. Like,
No, that sounds difficult
Ariel
to
could
even
definitely
to
tell
live
more,
through.
too.
We would literally get ready, pack up to go home for the weekend, and we would change into a skirt before we went home. Like
Wow.
that's how intense that was. And then it took me meeting Cintiq for us to develop these conversations, and within 4 years we were able to kind of figure it out together, because I think we were so focused, like for myself, I was so focused on what other people would think and what other people would say, that I forgot about the actual relationship with God. And I was just worried about like, okay, I got to make sure that I'm on point for the people. And then at that point I sat back and I'm like, hold up, if you know, because I know there is a God, so me sitting there and saying, okay, there's a God but I'm here to please man, that doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
So then it made me sit back and say, okay, there has to be something more, because it's nah, that's not it. So it just rolled around all these questions. And then I think when I really had the turning point was when I moved here to New York City in 2018. I read a book that is called Jesus is Greater Than Religion by Jefferson Bethke. He's the guy who did the spoken word back in, I think, 2012, that was spread all over that. It was like why I love I think it was like why I love God but hate religion, something like that. So anyways, I read that book, and that book just like everything that I thought I was confused about, I wasn't sure, like I was like, all right, I'm not crazy. Because you get to a point where you're surrounded with just people who are unfortunately just religious, right? So that puts you in a box, 4 walls. So once you start to step out of that, you're scared because you know nothing else. So once I started to see that there were other people with the same mindset that I had, I was like, all right, I can't be wrong. Like this can't be wrong. Because you have like fear instilled in you. So you feel like if you break out of those 4 walls, like you're going to be condemned. It literally feels like, unfortunately, like the Amish, you know, when they want to break out, people just scold and can't speak to them. Christianity, it's not to the same extent, but a lot of people today don't believe that I'm spiritual or I have a relationship with God because how I dress and how I look. When little do they know, I might have more of a relationship than they do, and they wear the skirts, you know what I'm saying? So it's a give or take, you know?
Yeah, I respect that. All right, so my next question to y'all would be like, first I want to appreciate y'all for answering that with realness, because I think some people might be going through that and not understand like it's okay to kind of like grow up and have a mind of your own and think and believe what you believe, but think the way you want to think as well, because that's what truly makes you you, you know? It makes you unique in so many different ways because everybody's different. My next question to y'all would be like, do you feel as though like in the future you look for a spouse who practices the same religion or spirituality you, and is that a make or break situation?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a make or break situation.
Yes.
It has, like, it for me. Let me keep it on the eye. Like I tell my clients, keep it on the eye. I think for me, I have to think about. I think first of all, before you get in a relationship, you have to establish like what your beliefs are, and if they are strong enough. Because some people, like, you know, consider themselves spiritual, but the way I consider myself spiritual might not be the way Shelby considers herself. So it's all different, you know?
Mhm.
Knowing yourself, understanding yourself, right? Knowing, okay, this is what I believe. Now that's up to you, you know, for you to figure out, all right, will this be a make or break? If you're not really religious or you're not spiritual, you don't really believe in anything, does it really matter? Now you got to think about it. If you have a partner who comes into the picture, right? Let's say you don't have beliefs. A partner comes into the picture with all these beliefs, and then you're like, I'm not with that. Got to think about it
Mhm.
that way too, you know what I mean? But for me, my beliefs, you know, I'm very firm in them. I believe in what I believe, and I don't knock anybody for not believing what I believe. But when it comes to, you know, my partner, where I'm gonna have kids, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with you, we have to be on the same page. We have to be on the same page. So my boyfriend, we grew up in the same religion, the same whole church thing, and we're both going through this journey of kind of rediscovering what really Christianity is. So it's been dope because not only did we both kind of sit back and say, all right, something's off with what we grew up learning. And, you know, kind of now we're going into this whole, okay, this is what it really is. That book that I mentioned earlier, we read that together. So that was our turning point into really saying, okay, what are we establishing? So that's when we sat back and said, okay, hold on. Now, what are we going to establish in our home? So it really comes to first establishing what you believe and if it's going to be a make or break, and then kind of figuring out once you have your partner or somebody who's a potential partner, where do you guys want to go from there? That's
I like that.
Yeah, I used to not think about things like that when I was younger. Like I would just go into a relationship just not even having that discussion. Like, and now I feel like without that discussion, without that kind of like that commitment that you guys make together to have that those same like sets of belief and follow them, I just feel like it won't work. Like I feel like without God period in a relationship, it's not gonna work. But I yeah, I never used to think like that, and now I feel like it's more important to me, especially like you said, Ariel, when I'm thinking I'm getting older, like I want to be with someone, I'm going to have a family, like we're going to have kids, and we have to be on the same accord. Like we have to raise our family the same way, and it's not going to work if we're on two separate pages.
perfect.
I feel like for me, it's just I don't want to bash the way I was raised because it's made me the person that I am today, and it's given me the morals and values that I have. And seeing how I was raised and how it hasn't like played a bad part in my life, it's very important to have, like you guys both said, to have someone on the same page as you, you know, when you're raising your children, and just in general, just knowing like why you think the way you think and why you do the things that you do, you know, because in some cases, like they might want to go somewhere and you're gonna be like, I can't go there because, you know, my beliefs, you know, my my relationship with God is just some things you got to sacrifice in order to make it work. And so I just feel like being on the same page for sure, but it is a make it or break it. But I feel like there could be a conversation had in order to make it work. And I guess you could say meet in the middle, but I feel like at the end of the day, like, you know, you're not going to want to.
You can't force someone to believe something that they don't believe.
Right.
Like, I want to be able to pray with my husband. Like, I want to be able to have conversations with God, with him. Like, I want us to be on that page. And if you're not thinking like that, like, yeah, like you can't force nobody to believe that. You can't force nobody to be in that the same way that you're in that. It has to be a mental connection that you guys both have.
Right. And then I think withholding that conversation, I think is the big, like, no. Because of course you're not going to throw it the first time you guys hang out, but you know, eventually you got to have that conversation. And then, you know, the mistake that people make is when, you know, 10, 15 years down the road, you have kids and it's like, well, I want my kids to go to Sunday school. I want my kids to get baptized. I want my kids to this. And your partner's like, I don't think that's necessary. Then that creates this whole other, you know, and you're so deep in the relationship, you have children together. Like at that point, what do you really do? You know, then you have no choice but to meet in the middle. And that meeting in the middle isn't the meeting in the middle Sadiq is talking about. That meeting in the middle is like, well, okay, I guess I have to, all right, this holiday, I'll sacrifice my belief. You guys do what you want to do. this holiday I'll take it. Then it becomes messy. Then it becomes uncomfortable is what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's
I think
Some people are okay with that though. Some people, like, I know, like, going to school in Sudbury, there were, I feel like families were Jewish, and like they'd be like, yeah, my mom's Jewish, but my dad's not Jewish, so we're celebrating Hanukkah and Christmas. Like,
yeah.
it's just like, it depends on the person and what they're able to
Mhm.
accept.
And compromise with, because you gotta think in
Yeah.
a relationship, some people gotta I feel like there's always gonna be that other person that's gonna have to compromise a little bit more than one person.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? So I think for me personally, I feel like I'm just now trying to get, not even trying. I feel like I'm just now getting on the serious note of actually looking for somebody to like chill with. So I think now is like just trying to. They all know
Everybody's
me.
face.
They all know me.
Sorry,
They all know me. They all know me. But for real, I think right now is me trying to figure out like just I'm getting older. You know what I mean? I can't keep doing the same things that I've been doing, and so that conversation hasn't been as prominent in my mind, but it is always in the back of my mind because I know that I'm getting to a point where I need to start thinking about like having a significant other that I'm gonna be with for X amount of time or till I'm gone. You know what I mean? So and create a life with. So that's on my mental a little bit. But my follow up with that would be, what about with friends? Like, how does that work with your friends?
I feel like I've been fortunate enough to have friends that are kind of on the same page as me, and if they're not, we kind of respect each other. We respect each other's differences. Like, we're not forcing one another to believe something that we don't believe. But the friends that I do have that do think the same way that I think, I really cherish and value those friendships, because it's like you can go to them, you can have those conversations with them, and you know they're not going to judge you. You know they're going to understand where you're coming from. So I don't know. I haven't had no like issues with that personally.
Yeah, I think for us in college, you know, there were 6 of us in the crew more so, and I think the best thing for me was that all 6 of us had some sort of belief in God. So we were all kind of on the same page when it came to that. You know, Santique was a PK, another one of our friends was a PK, another friend grew up in church, you know, another friend was Catholic. So obviously Catholic and Christianity, well, Catholic does fall, you know, Catholicism does fall under Christianity, but differs a little bit. But when it kind of came to having these conversations, we were always very respectful. Yeah. Super respectful, and we always respected each other's lifestyles. Also, I think because
I'm super different.
Yeah,
I'll let you know that now.
Listen, in our friend group, you know, we have people gay, not gay, this, like, you decide, you know, a lot of us live life, like, our lives very differently. And when I came into college, it was like, ooh, like, there are people like that. I swear, this is crazy. I think I never met somebody who was lesbian until college. Wasn't Aubrey, but
wow.
Never. And it's crazy. I've always had gay people in my life, but never, you know, dudes, never lesbians. And it was crazy because I was like, wow, like, this is a thing. So I was just open to all these new things. And then when our friend group of this whole mess of people came together, it was like I saw things completely differently. Like, so I think at that point, I think it's just about being respectful, because I respect how each and every one of my friends live their life, and I love them for that. And in my beliefs, Christianity teaches me to love people no matter what, because it's not up to me
exactly
tell people what to do or how to do things. Now, if we want to have a conversation, Aubrey has come to me and Santique can ask us questions, and we answer those questions, and we can have those conversations. But who am I to tell you how to do things? I don't want people telling me how to live. I'm not going to tell somebody how to live. You know what I mean? So I think it's just about having that bar of respect. And if you're in a belief, this is my opinion, if you're in a belief that pushes you to bash others, find another belief system, because that's not right. Yep. So just respecting, you know, one another.
Yes, sir. Santique, what about you?
What was the question again?
Your friends.
I respect that.
Okay, our friends.
What about your friends?
I know. I feel like, well, similar to Ariellis, like, it was just, I didn't find myself surrounded with, like, the kind of people that I am now. And I feel like it's been an eye-opener for me. Like, you just have to love people for who they are, and that's what our beliefs, like, come to at the end of the day. And it's like, I don't know, it's just, in our friend group, like it's so we've always had that comfortability to speak about anything, and like that no judgment zone. And I don't know, I feel like it's good to see that we don't have to force anything on you guys. And like if we say like we can't do this, we can't go out, we can't do that, like you guys are like, all right, that's cool, like let's find something else to do, you know. We respect each other's beliefs and just the like those restrictions that we may have. But I don't know.
I think
not-
that
so you
also
feel
comes
like-
with like our generation as well,
Yeah.
like in how we kind of think. Like we're not so stuck on what we grew up with. Like we're able to think like you guys were able to do, like think outside the box, think for ourselves. We don't have to be stuck with what we grew up with. What our parents taught us was right. We can make our own decisions.
Like college itself definitely played a big role in this, because like growing up, like they didn't really, people in our level, at least in my church, didn't really speak about college. And like they always said like, oh, you got to be careful when you go to college. They talked about all the negative things, but for me, I've taken all the positive things out of it, and like it's gotten me where I am today. Like
yeah, I respect that. My next question to y'all would be, like, you can get as deep as you want, as honest as you want. I would love it. I always love hearing it. But like, how has your value or like your faith shaped you to be the person that you are today? Like, what are some things that you like that are concrete? Like Arios, I know you say certain things like you don't have to explain yourself to anybody. You know what I mean? Like that's just who you are. But like, how has your faith shaped you as a person?
I think what's crazy, that saying in college, that was like something that was like my staple halfway through college. I was like, I don't have to explain myself to anybody, because not only did it have to do with the things that like us as a friend group were just kind of going through, you know, college drama, but I think it was more so I had a lot of stuff going on inside of me where like I was trying to figure myself out. And like, you know, with the whole, it sounds funny to be like, yeah, before I went home for the weekend I was changing into a skirt. Like that was a whole thing with my parents, you know what I mean, to try to help them explain like, I love God, I'm not trying to go into this realm of rebellion, but like I'm stepping out of what we kind of have established in this household. And that's an uncomfortable conversation, you know what I mean? And then having a partner who lives in another state. So there was just a lot going on. So sometimes it's hard to explain yourself to people, you know what I mean? And then for the people who are closest to you, not really get the reasoning behind certain things that you do, you know what I mean? So I think that really had to do a lot with what I was going through, because I think in college, I was going through a lot of like,
Change,
right? So I was going through a lot of rebellion, knowing that, you know, I was steering away from my beliefs. So not only was I kind of moving away from the whole how I look and, you know, that not determining how close I was to God, but I kind of steered away again from having a relationship with God. So I was doing all types of crazy stuff in college, like y'all know, you know what I mean? And so making decisions that was very out of my character. But I think doing all these things have led me to where I am right now. Because right now I may still look like the way I dress in college, right? The way I presented myself, whatever. But I'm a completely different person since I got out of college and I moved to the city. Like I go to church. It's something that I do all the time. I'm very involved in church, you know, the same way I was involved in college. So I keep myself preoccupied with those things. But I think if I never did the things I did, which people in our religion or beliefs would deem as like despicable or, wow, that's terrible, how could you do that? But I believe that change, you know, sometimes you need to step out of what you know to discover what there is, to then really figure out, okay, that's not what I want. That's not what I want to do. So it took all those terrible decisions and, you know, being in those like wonky relationships and friendships and with dudes and all these things for me to really be like, nah, you know, I know who I am. I know what I believe, but now it's time for me to establish what I believe, what I grew up knowing with really who I am. And once you combine those two things and you really know yourself and know what you believe, it's like a whole new world, you know what I mean? And it feels good to be there, because that's what I was really looking for the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like I have like the similar experience as Arialis. But I guess a big thing for me was I'm not gonna be able to please everybody with what I do. Like of course, I mean I've helped my parents realize a lot more about like our beliefs and stuff, but I felt like a part of me was disappointing them, and like they're everything to me because like they're all I have. I'm an only child. So like me doing the things that I did and just my curiosity, I guess I'm grateful for my curiosity because it brought me to this place where I had to question a lot of things and like just
Boy, that motorcycle just pulled up in your crib. I swear
no, I
to
live on an avenue, please. I kill my vibe. That's all it says.
The field.
I was trying to ignore it.
Shelby was like this. Shelby was like,
Oh my gosh. But yeah, no, I just feel like I had to go through what I went through in college, well, like the past couple of years to get me to where I am now. Like my faith has never been like as strong as it is now. There were times where I felt like I was at like the all-time high. I was like, I'm doing everything right. Like I'm wearing the skirts, I'm reading the Bible, I'm doing the prayer, I'm doing the fasting, like I'm meeting with the youth, I'm like taking parts in church, whatever. But a part of me still felt like I wasn't content. It was weird. And so I for a couple of years I would always fall back into this hole and start questioning everything. And like I I was so vulnerable in those points that I was just open to anything. And being exposed to those things made me realize like, no, this is not me. Like, and that's okay. Like it's okay for you to say no and not go out with your friends. Like it's okay because of what you believe in and what you're comfortable with. And so I feel like today, I wouldn't force anything on anybody. Like if you guys want to go out, go ahead. Like that's on you guys. I'll pray for protection over you guys. If y'all need me to pick y'all up, that's cool. Like, but definitely like Ariella said, like everything that I've been through has made me like the person I am today and has made my faith so much stronger. And I wouldn't turn from God like ever. Just seeing that a relationship with God is more important than anything.
yes, sir. Shelby out here. You laughing at that loud ass chime?
Yo,
That shit was loud as fuck.
Santique, that's you. That was you all day.
Even though my messages were connected, so
You didn't know your messages were connected.
To
We
my
didn't even know.
laptop.
We
I
didn't
need
even
to
know
check
you
my
got
phone.
messages. We didn't even know you got messages because we right here.
It was the
I'm
thing.
stop messing with you.
My
I'm
laptop.
stop.
All right, you
I'm
know
stop.
I'm doing this. Okay, I'm
I'm
trying to
just-
be official.
What about you though,
Process
Shelby?
of changing my ways.
I feel like my faith has shown me that I don't necessarily need anyone or anything as long as I have God. Like I feel like I reached a point in my life where I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone. I didn't feel like I could turn to anyone when I needed something. And it was really like those moments when I was just felt alone where I could turn to God and just have conversations with God and feel better and just cry and let it out and feel like, okay, I have, even though he's not here with me physically, I know he's protecting me and I know that I can come to him whenever I need him, even if I've turned away from him not turned away, but if I haven't been having those conversations with him, if I haven't been keeping that relationship as consistent as I should be with him, he's always still there. So I feel like my faith has definitely, it's put me in a position where I can be alone. I'm not scared to be alone because I know that he's always going to be there.
Yeah, definitely. There's always purpose in your pain. Like
For real.
Yeah. I feel like with me, I don't necessarily like follow any kind of religion, but I feel like, being around you guys the most and I'm learning to understand how religion has shaped you all. I think for me personally, when I go through certain things, like all I could do is trust God. Like I'm going through something for a reason. He believes that I'm going to get through it. And so I need to trust that. And so that's why for me, like I always see the positive side of things, or I always see like, I try to see an outcome because there's always a reason behind this. And whatever it is, like I can't regret anything because I have to take it as a lesson. Like, and he wants me to take that as a lesson. And so I think for me, like I didn't start realizing that until probably senior year of college. Like when all that stuff was happening, it was just kind of like, I was at a breaking point. Like they don't even know. There's times I was just crying, like just trying to get it out. And I'm just like, why? Like I'm just asking like why? But in reality, it's like I know why, because this is just a moment. You know what I mean? And because I could do it, I could get through it. I'm gonna be okay. And although I had my moments where I needed to be by myself, it was just kind of like, I mean, they see me in like, I was like rare form my senior year, but I needed to trust in what was happening, trust in him, that he'll guide me through it in the best way possible. And trust in my friends too, and y'all. Like I said, Ariella and I always have bickers all the time, but for her to sit me down and put a flame under my ass, like, bro, honestly, like, what are you doing? Like, I needed that, you know, and having people who believe in God in the aspect that you do, it's like you teach me a lot about me understanding what's going on, you know what I mean? So
It's like a sense of hope too. Like,
yeah.
I just feel like life is better when you have something to believe in, and
Mm-hmm.
believe in higher power, which for me, like, it's just, it gives me hope and like, it's like I always tell myself, like, if you have a pulse, there's a purpose why you're still here, you know, like.
Yes, sir. I like that. Well, Shelby, you got any questions?
No.
Anything that come to mind?
No.
Well, I appreciate y'all always.
Yeah,
I
that was a
appreciate
really good conversation.
Oh, that's yeah.
Super great conversation. I appreciate y'all for being so honest and being so vulnerable, especially to kind of throw some of your life out there. You know, it's Valid TV. We stand for vulnerability, you know, in that. And I appreciate you guys demonstrating, you know, some of the things that we stand for and some of the aspects of life, because we just talked about vulnerability and filming an episode yesterday. And some people don't understand, like, vulnerability is everywhere. Like, you have to be vulnerable in this world in order to figure out and find out who you truly are. And without vulnerability, you just will never know, because you might always think that your shit might not stink. And it's okay for your shit to stink a little bit, to figure out that, you know, this is just a process and you figuring out who you truly are. And you may not figure it out for a long time. Like, we may think this is who we are, but there's so much more that we have to experience to learn. Like, okay, how would I deal with it? Like I always say, like, I don't put anything past anybody, because I don't know how you would react in your worst situation possible, because you probably haven't been through your worst situation possible. Yeah, who's to say how you're gonna react, right? But you have to be vulnerable to figure it out, you know. With that, I appreciate y'all like always, and thank you for joining us in this episode. And like we always say, thank you. Like we always say, this is Valid TV: vulnerability, accountability, leadership, intentionality, and demand. All aspects of life, and we just here to talk about it. We'll catch y'all in the next episode.